Tonight on Global TV News Prime, striking nurses suspend industrial action. A business Trump slams Nigeria with 15% tariff in expanded global trade offensive. On the foreign scene, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda hold first talks since signing of peace deal. And in sports, Nigeria wins gold in women's cycling. Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Uyi Agmofwegbe, reminding our viewers that we are on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. Tonight, we begin by telling you, Minister of Health, Dr. Ali Pate, says the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives has called off its warning strike after a closed-door meeting in Abuja. The minister said the decision followed agreements reached between the government and the association's leadership. However, union leaders are yet to release a statement on the development. The Federal Executive Council has approved 987 billion naira worth of contracts for extensive infrastructure upgrades at airports across Nigeria. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, announced these after the council meeting, which was presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the State House in Abuja. He explained that the projects would be financed through the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund. President Bola Tinubu has urged state governors to deepen collaboration with the federal government to ensure that the economic reforms currently underway translate into tangible benefits for Nigerians at the grassroots level. The president made the plea at a special session of the National Economic Council in Abuja to discuss economic hardship and rising cost of living in the country. This is coming days after the United States criticized some governors for engaging in extravagant spending while the country grapples with deepening economic hardship by spending billions of naira on new government buildings and luxury projects despite widespread poverty and deteriorating public services. The federal government has directed the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, to collaborate with state governors on developing bankable housing projects to bring home ownership solutions directly to citizens. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, gave the directive during the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Day at the 19th Africa International Housing Show in Abuja. Dangiwa said the initiative is designed to bridge the gap between federal housing policy and state-level action while taking home ownership solutions directly to members of the public as part of the federal government Renewed Hope state-by-state home ownership and housing development campaign. In a different development, the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to creating a supportive legal environment that encourages technological progress while safeguarding rights and promoting responsible use of creative and innovative works. Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Justice, Beatrice Jedi Agba, reiterated government's commitment during their opening of a one-day sensitization and interactive session on legal use of software in the engineering, construction, and building design sectors. She observed that in today's digital age, the use of software has become the backbone of innovation, design, and implementation in engineering and related fields. In a bid to curtail incessant industrial actions by trade unions, the federal government has approved the National Industrial Relations Policy 2025 to check strikes. This follows government's disclosure that the contentious circular that led to the recent strike by health workers has been withdrawn, with a meeting scheduled for today between government and the striking nurses. In the meantime, organized labor has vowed to resist any attempt by external forces to cause disunity between the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, so as to weaken the agitation for workers' welfare. The Senior Staff Association of Universities, Teaching Hospitals, Research Institutes, and Associated Institutions has urged the federal government to immediately implement the 65-year retirement age policy for all categories of staff in colleges of agriculture and related disciplines. The association makes the call via a communique issued at the end of a sectoral council meeting held at the Federal College of Animal Health and Production Technology in Jos, Plateau State, and signed by its chairman, Idris Shedrack, and the secretary, Yusuf Dada. The association also argued that the policy is vital for equity, institutional stability, as well as retention of experienced manpower in a critical sector of the economy. The House of Representatives is pushing for the establishment of new technical and vocational colleges across the country as part of efforts to tackle Nigeria's high youth unemployment. Lawmakers say equipping young people with practical skills is crucial for addressing the mismatch between education and the job market. A National Assembly correspondent, Anietie Patrick, has details for us.
At a public hearing in Abuja, the House Committee on Federal Polytechnic and Higher Technical Education emphasized the need for innovative strategies to empower young Nigerians. Chairman of the committee, Fred Lagunda, says the goal is to equip youths with hands-on training, technical expertise, and entrepreneurial skills that match today's workforce demands. The hearing focused on 3 bills: the proposed Federal College of Entrepreneurship and Skills Acquisition in Zaki Biam, Benue State, the National Institute for Technical and Vocational Education in Borogo, Bauchi State, and the Federal Vocational and Skills Acquisition College in Ilaro, Ogun State. Lagunda says these institutions will promote self-reliance and economic growth by producing skilled technicians and mid-level professionals.
They seek to promote entrepreneurship studies and skill acquisition to empower Nigerians with the skills to become employable, create jobs, and excel anywhere, particularly in their various constituencies.
Declaring the hearing open, Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, represented by Awalu Gwandabe, says over 55% of Nigerian youths are unemployed or underemployed, largely due to a disconnect between formal education and the labor market.
We must therefore equip our youth with practical skills that will enable them to thrive in an ever-evolving technologically driven job market.
The House says the bills align with its legislative agenda and will improve access to quality technical education nationwide. Anietie Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
As Nigeria pushes forward with constitutional reforms, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, is calling for national support for the reserved seats bill, a move aimed at boosting women's representation in government. Speaking at an Australian High Commission event in Abuja, Kalu emphasized that the bill seeks to reserve 1 seat for women in each state across the Senate, House of Representatives, and state assemblies. He also urged Nigerians to draw inspiration from Australia's model of unity in diversity, noting that tolerance and inclusion remain the building blocks of a stronger nation. Benue State Police Command has announced the successful rescue of 6 law students who were kidnapped on July 26, 2025 along the boundary between Benue and Taraba States. In a statement issued, the command spokesperson, Superintendent of Police Edet Udeme, confirmed that the victims were safely rescued and reunited with their families. The students who were traveling from Anambra State to resume studies at the Nigerian Law School Yola campus in Adamawa State were intercepted by armed kidnappers while passing through the troubled border corridor. This is Global Television, and tonight you're watching the live broadcast of News Prime with Uyi Agmofwebe, when the rest of the broadcast returns shortly. Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda hold first talks since signing of peace deal. We have those details coming shortly from the international scene as well as business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. Thank you so very much for staying with us, everyone. The second part of tonight's news broadcast now returns with business, where the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, now says the compressed natural gas policy is central to Nigeria's energy transition agenda. Speaking at an investigative hearing in Abuja, the House raised critical questions on the pace, safety, and impact of the compressed natural gas policy rollout. Again, our correspondent, Aniyetia Patrick, has more.
Of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas says Nigeria's compressed natural gas policy is not just about clean energy, but a pathway to energy security and economic diversification. Represented at the hearing by Sada Soli, the Speaker told the ad hoc committee on CNG policy implementation that while the initiative offers a cleaner and cheaper alternative to petrol, Nigerians must feel its benefits.
The essence of this public hearing cannot be overstated, as it reflects our legislative commitment to transparency, accountability, and effective policy implementation.
Chairman of the committee, Ahmed Jaha, described the policy as bold but warned that it could fail without transparency and effective oversight. He listed key concerns, including uneven distribution of conversion centers, safety issues, and lack of public awareness, urging data-backed submissions from stakeholders.
My concern is the infrastructure that will be available to service these cars that are converted. Sustainability is the most important thing.
Project Director of the Presidential CNG Initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, says 300 conversion centers now exist in 24 states, up from just 7. He noted that 2 staff had been dismissed for misconduct, reaffirming the initiative's zero tolerance for corruption.
You agree with me that if we had started awarding contracts to build conversion centers, we will probably not have 20 of them in Nigeria today in 12 months, because they will have to go to tender, they will do the bureaucracy, money will not come out, and you know how that story evolves.
The Ministry of Petroleum, NNPCL, Federal Road Safety Corps also threw their weight behind the CNG transition and urged the National Assembly to legislate certification standards, train inspectors, and strengthen compliance across the country. Aniyetia Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
National Assembly correspondent Aniyetia Patrick, we appreciate you for your reporting tonight. Let's now turn to a different story. The federal government has fully supported Nigeria's emerging electric vehicle industry, restating its commitment to driving local manufacturing, economic expansion, and job creation. In a statement, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, affirmed the government's support during a visit to Sanglev Incorporated EV assembly plant in Lagos State. She stated that the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration remains focused on fostering investment and industrial growth through policies that prioritize Nigerian businesses. Nigeria and dozens of other countries have been hit with a 15% import tariff under a sweeping trade order signed by U.S. President Donald Trump as part of his administration's revised global tariff strategy. The White House announced the updated reciprocal tariff rates, marking a significant escalation in Trump's border and broader trade offensive that began earlier this year. In April, Trump had imposed a 14% tariff on Nigerian imports, citing the need for fairer trade terms. That move was followed by a 90-day grace period to allow time for bilateral trade negotiations, pushing the final decision to deadline of August the 1st. In the meantime, President Donald Trump's administration has unveiled a range of new tariffs due to take effect in 1 week on most United States trading partners. The import levies ranged as high as 41% on Syria and included a hike on Canadian imports from the current 25% to 35%. Correspondent Zaral Nasser has details.
Trump stated that the United States will raise tariffs on certain Canadian goods, having previously warned of trade consequences for Canada after Prime Minister Mark Carney announced plans to recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly in September. Unlike the new levies hitting dozens of other economies, There's no delay, and this begins Friday, according to a White House fact sheet. However, Trump has now sent a strong message to the government, reaffirming his earlier proposition.
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple. They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers, some over 200%. And they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years.
Products covered by the 2020 United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, which covers a wide swath of items, will be exempt from the tariff rate. Zahra Nasr, reporting for Global TV News.
Tonight we go further into the foreign scene with United States President Donald Trump now threatening new sanctions while slamming Russia's military actions in Ukraine as disgusting, saying he would send his special envoy Steve Witkoff, currently in Israel, to visit Russia next. President Vladimir Putin has already met Witkoff multiple times in Moscow before Trump's efforts to mend ties with Kremlin came to a grinding halt. Washington has given Moscow until the end of next week to cease hostilities in Ukraine under threat of severe economic sanctions. And bringing it closer to home, Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have held the first meeting of a joint oversight committee, taking a step towards implementing a peace deal as other commitments are yet to be fulfilled. The African Union, Qatar and the United States joined the committee meeting in Washington to discuss progress on implementing the agreement. The deal in June between Rwanda and Congo marked a breakthrough in talks held by United States President Donald Trump's administration, which aims to bring an end to fighting that has killed thousands and attracted billions of dollars of Western investment to a region rich in tantalum, gold, cobalt, copper, lithium, and other minerals. Let's take a quick look at sports. Team Nigeria has struck gold again at the inaugural African School Games in Algeria. Godwin Osaitin Grace delivered a stunning performance in the women's cycling road race, clinching first place with a time of 1 hour, 37 minutes and 2 seconds, just ahead of Algeria's Chemuche Susan in the photo finish final. Her victory adds to Nigeria's growing medal haul, which as of Friday morning stands at 11 medals, 3 gold, 4 silver and 4 bronze. With more events still to come, Team Nigeria is on a promising path toward making history at the first ever African School Games. Nigeria's men's 100-meter champion in Paris 2024 Olympics semi-finalist Kanyishola Ajayi is ready to face a strong field of challenges for the title at the 2025 national trials, which will be held at Yaba Tech in Lagos State. Ajayi won the title for the first time last year at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City within a time of 10.14 seconds, beating Alaba Akintola, who followed closely to take second in 10.16 seconds, while 2023 champion Usheroshe Ishekiri claimed third in 10.22 seconds. This year, however, Ajayi will face the likes of Israel Okon, Fakorede Adekalu, Favor Ashe, Olaolu Olatunde, and other contenders to defend his title. The capital city, Abuja in Nigeria, is set to bustle with activity with the arrival of teams for the 2025 Confederation of African Volleyball Under 18 Boys and Girls Beach Championship. The event, which is scheduled to run from August 1st to 7th, will see as many as 20 countries on the continent battle on the sands for the right to be called Junior Champions of Africa. Day one of the championship will witness the arrival of all participants on August 1, with action expected to kick off later during the course of the weekend. President of the Beach Volleyball Commission, Musa Nimrod, had given assurances on Nigeria's readiness in hosting her each-free competition. Tonight, we end Global TV News Prime with a look at some of our big stories. Minister of Health Dr. Ali Pate says the National Association of Nigeria Nurses and Midwives has called off its warning strike after a closed-door meeting in Abuja. In business, Nigeria and dozens of other countries have been hit with a 15% import tariff under a sweeping trade order signed by U.S. President Donald Trump as part of his administration's revised global tariff strategy. On the foreign scene, Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have held the first meeting of a joint oversight committee, taking a step towards implementing a peace deal as other commitments are yet to be fulfilled. And finally, in sports night, we told you Team Nigeria has struck gold again at the inaugural African School Games in Algeria. And that's all we have for you tonight on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channels 365 and Star Times 276. Kindly follow us across all of our social media platforms using the handle at Global TV NG, as well as others as you now see on your screen. On behalf of the entire team that has made these news broadcasts possible, I am Uyi Agmofwebe, wishing you a big weekend ahead. Bye-bye.